Hey there, fellow Texans. Welcome to the James Show. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP, and I am your host, James Parker. Oh, I know. Good to see you, too. This first story is going to weird you out a little bit. Well, look, it weirded me out. My brain cannot process stories like this. Did you hear about the two guys from here? One of them's from Allen, one of them's from Argyle. And I feel stupid saying this because it doesn't sound like a real story. They had a plot to where they were going to round up and recruit some boys, probably homeless people in D.C. They were going to sail to Haiti. You understand? Sailing, not even using a boat with a motor is what I get out of that. They were going to sail to an island off the coast of Haiti, kill all the men, and then keep the women and children as sex slaves. And they figure if they had a nice little militia, they could defend their island. Haiti wouldn't be able to take it back, as if the international community wouldn't help out in some form or fashion. And are these guys serious is the first question. And when we talk about this island, I looked it up. This island has 87,000 people on it. And so if half of them are dudes, you're just going to genocide 40,000 men? I don't care how well you armed. It's going to take more than you and a couple dozen homeless dudes. So my brain can't process this. Is this a real story where they really wanted to do, or is this just kind of fan fiction? And so the guy on the radio isn't making stuff up. Here's the report from WFAA.
This morning, we are working to learn more about two young men from North Texas accused of plotting to invade a Caribbean island.
This is a story that many of you have been clicking on our website this morning. Brittany Moncrief joins us now from the newsroom. Okay, Brittany, how were they planning to invade the island?
All right, so a federal grand jury has indicted two North Texas men in a year-long plot that includes invading an island off Haiti. Now, the U.S. Attorney's Office says 21-year-old Gavin Rivers Weisenberg of Allen and 20-year-old Tanner Christopher Thomas of Argyle are facing charges of conspiracy to murder, maim, and kidnap in a foreign country and production of child pornography.
Ew.
The U.S. Attorney's Office says this plot goes back from August 2024 to July 2025, and they say Weisenberg and Thomas allegedly planned to take over Haiti's island of Gonave, murder all the men, and use the women and children as sex slaves. They say the two planned to purchase a sailboat, firearms, ammunition, and recruit unhoused individuals from Washington, D.C. They even tell us Thomas went as far as enlisting in the U.S. Air Force to learn military skills. Now, according to the U.S. Attorney's Office, both Weisenberg and Thomas started making operational and logistical plans and were also told that they allegedly began learning Haitian Creole language, recruiting others in the plot, and researching and enrolling in schools to further their plans. Now, if the two are convicted, they could face up to life in federal prison for conspiracy to commit murder in a foreign country. And if they're convicted of federal production of child pornography charges, it could carry a sentence of at least 15 to 30 years in federal prison. Now, a number of law enforcement agencies are investigating, including the FBI, U.S. Air Force Office of Special Investigations, and Salina Police.
Is this even a real story? A 21-year-old and a 20-year-old from here in the Dallas area were really planning on sailing. I just want to stress that a couple more times. Sailing to this island that's off the coast of Haiti. When we say it's off the coast of Haiti, it's not like way out in the middle of the Caribbean that's going to be really hard to access. Haiti has two peninsulas that kind of jut off the western side of the island there. And this island's actually pretty big, and it's between those. So 87,000 residents on Gonave Island. They were going to kill all the dudes. And then they have in quotes here in the report, I tell you, I must have read 10 different reports on this. NPR said they plan to carry out their rape fantasies. And that was the verbiage that they're quoting from the court documents. Rape fantasies. So the two men were planning on buying a boat, firearms, ammunition. And did you hear the part they were going to recruit homeless population out of the D.C. area? Why D.C.? What the hell's going on there? You go to downtown Dallas, and I don't know, maybe our homeless people are just slouches compared to the industrious, militia-ready homeless of D.C. This makes no sense. This story makes no sense. They were going to murder all the men on the island. Really? You know how many bullets that would take? You know how long that would take? You know what the odds are? How many people do you think are going to be in your little militia there? Gavin and Tanner? By the way, we're playing racial bingo here. Credit to the media for not immediately saying they were white men. Before I even saw the pictures. Gavin, Rivers, Weisenberg, Tanner, Christopher Thomas. I was like, yeah, they're white. Not that it matters. It just does in some of these other stories. Just wanted to be fair. But this doesn't even sound real. Can they really be this dumb? Do they really think they were going to do this? Or was this just some sort of fan fiction that they have? Because then you got to get to the part where, as crazy as this is, there's two of you guys. There's two of you guys that don't say, neither one of you go, yeah, that's not very fun. That doesn't sound very fun to me. Or that's just not plausible. We're going to get ourselves killed. So prosecutors are saying in these court documents that these two guys, man, I just can't believe they're from here. They've been working on this for over a year. They both took Haitian Creole language training. They both have research in ammunition and weapons. Weisenberg allegedly traveled to Thailand to enroll in sailing school in preparation for the purchase of the sailboat and the voyage to Hawaii. That's as reported by NPR. You're going to sail to Haiti. Have these guys ever been sailing? Look, I grew up here, so sailing's not that big. But if you go live on any coast anywhere, there's sailboats everywhere. Go sailing. It sucks. It's one of the worst means of transportation. And it was only useful because we hadn't invented a motor yet during Columbus and Magellan and all their time. But once we had even the steam engine, much less, my God, the awesome internal combustion engines we have these days, sailing's a terrible, terrible way to go all the way from where? I mean, I know you're not going to start in Allen. Where are you going to start from? Miami? Galveston? Crystal Bay? I don't. Do you think this is a real story? I have some more details that'll kind of flesh this out a little bit. But first off, they got arrested. They're being charged with crimes. So I guess this is real, but this is so dumb and so not likely to work out in such a far-fetched plan. I'm not sure if this is even real. 800-288-9227. More details on the story of two North Texas men indicted on a Haitian invasion plot coming up on the James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. This is the weirdest story I've had to do all year. It's the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP. 2 North Texas men indicted on a plot that they had been planning on invading some island off Hawaii, murdering all the dudes and turning the women and children into sex slaves. Pretty deranged stuff. Pretty psychopathic stuff, if you don't mind me getting specific there with my criticism, my diagnosis here. I have a hard time believing this. I have a hard time believing there's 2 guys that think that's a good idea. But I mean, look, most of us are just, we stop at the rape part. Like that's a mindset that thankfully most guys just, I assume, can't even fathom in their head. Because, I mean, like, how could you be in the mood if she's screaming and crying or fighting you or whatever? Doesn't that take the fun out of it? No, some guys actually enjoy inflicting pain, or some guys are completely indifferent to the suffering of the people in front of them. Difference between a sociopath and a psychopath. These guys seem to enjoy it. So now we're talking psychopath territory. They found each other. One's in Allen, one's in Argyle, and they've been for over a year plotting. One of them joined the Air Force for training, military training. How about an airplane, maybe? That'd be better than your sailboat. Not trying to give you tips over there. But I played you in the last segment how this was reported in Friday's news from WFAA, because our connection to the plot is the 2 guys. Here's how it was reported yesterday in D.C., and they're all rolled up into this because part of the plan is they're going to go to D.C. and recruit a bunch of homeless people there, and that's going to be their militia. That's going to be their crew. What? I know it still doesn't make sense to me, and I've listened to this, I've read up on it, but check this out. This is from the local NBC affiliate in D.C.
Turning now to a disturbing federal indictment out of Texas. 2 young men are accused of plotting a violent takeover of an island in Haiti. And prosecutors say part of that plan involved recruiting help from people right here in our nation's capital. News 4's Fraisis Casado breaks down how the homeless community.
Fraisis Casado. Boy, he really hit that accent hard, didn't he? Love it when they do that.
Here in our nation's capital. News 4's Fraisis Casado breaks down how the homeless community here in D.C. is now tied to an alleged international murder plot.
Investigators first learned about this through online communication. They say the men were having, according to a grand jury indictment, they were planning an armed attack on a Haitian island, and to build their so-called force, they plan to come here to D.C. and recruit members of the homeless population. The plot reads like something out of a movie, but prosecutors say 21-year-old Gavin Rivers Weisenberg and 20-year-old Tanner Christopher Thomas were serious. They are accused of planning a coup on a small island off Haiti's coast with about 87,000 residents. They've been charged with
Hey, I'm sorry to interrupt. You don't have to email me that she said coup. She said the P in coup, C-O-U-P. All right, English probably not her first language. You can tell by the accent. I got it. We're not going to make fun of it. Don't even bother sending me the email. And I'm sorry I have to interrupt and tell you, or I'm going to get 12 emails on this. This is what lady's an idiot. She said the P in coup.
Conspiracy to murder, maim, or kidnap in a foreign country. According to
isn't that interesting? And all the time that I've been doing radio, I've never come across this. To maim, murder, kidnap in a foreign country. I've never seen this before.
They've been charged with conspiracy to murder, maim, or kidnap in a foreign country. According to the indictment, they wanted to sell from the U.S. to Haiti, murder the men on the island, then make the women and children their sex slaves. It's a conspiracy federal investigators say they were planning for nearly a year. Court documents say the men researched weapons, tried learning Haitian Creole, and even sought military and first responder training. Prosecutors say Thomas changed his Air Force Station assignment to Joint Base Andrews in Maryland, specifically to be closer to D.C. and facilitate recruiting people experiencing homelessness. They allegedly believe they could pay them to join the armed invasion. Federal charges also extend beyond the invasion plot. The men are accused in a separate count of producing child pornography involving a minor known to investigators. If convicted, both face decades, even life, in federal prison. As a reminder, a grand jury indictment is not a conviction. We will keep you updated. In the district, Fraisis Casado, News 4.
All right, Fraisis, thank you. I'm sure that this is a story a lot of people want to be updated.
Yeah, just say Fraisis a couple more times, please. Enlighten us all. All right, so that's some disturbing details there. What in the heck is this? Do y'all even believe this is a real story? And when I say that, I don't ask that as a rhetorical question. You can send me an email. You can send me a Facebook message. You can call in 800-288-9227. Email me, parker@wbap.com, because I'm not so sure about this. And that's what the lawyer spoke up over the weekend. And he said that, dude, there's no way that they were really going to try and pull this off. They're not that crazy. They know that this is an insane plot. There are some guys who are not well, and they were just humoring their weird predilections, and that nothing was ever going to come of it for real. Oh, really? I'm just supposed to stick with that? That doesn't sound very believable. But again, none of this sounds believable. The plot doesn't sound believable. The excuse that they didn't do the plot doesn't sound believable. And what are you going to, like, here's another shortcoming of the story. Okay, so you get there. You have to, murder about 40,000 dudes. How many guys do you think are going to be in your posse? How many of your homeless guys, where are you getting the money to hire a bunch of homeless mercenaries to go to an island in Haiti and wreck shop with you? Who's to say they don't turn the guns on you? Let's say, miracle of miracles, you somehow sail down there with your posse of properly armed and funded and trained militia. You take over the island, you kill 40,000 people. Now you have a whole bunch of women and children as sex slaves. What happens when the United States Army or even the Haitian Army lands? Are you really going to be able to repel a land invasion from a military, even one as chaotic and probably not reliable as the Haitian Army? They're going to get help. Even if you're able to repel a land, like if the United States, like, we're not getting involved in that, hating to take care of it. And even if they repel the backward Haitian Army, what are y'all going to do for food? You don't think they're going to blockade the place immediately? Is that going to be a self-sustaining agricultural society now? What are you going to do next week? Are you just going to have sex slaves for the rest of your life, and you have infinity food that's going to be what, airdropped to you? How long do you think this is going to last? So clearly these guys are sick. These guys are absolutely sick in the head. Just the fact that you would want to have an island full of sex slaves. Dude, get in the wood chipper. And I don't care if you go feet first. I mean, I usually reserve the wood chipper for like pedophiles or something, but I'll crank it up for these guys. What the heck? Get out of here. We can't share Earth with people like this. It's okay to be crazy. It's okay to hallucinate and think you're Napoleon. It's okay to not necessarily live 100% in the real world. But there's a difference between a benevolent crazy. In fact, I have some good friends who are benevolent crazy. But this level of evil mixed with crazy, this is where all the worst atrocities come from that you see in the news. This is where the Columbine comes from in the news. This is where Sandy Hook or the Pulse nightclub or the guy in Vegas. Sickos. And I'm really having a hard time believing this is real. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. Casey, North Richland Hills, says, James, they use machetes in Haiti. What? So you think they can do it? You think you can show up with you and a couple dozen homeless fellas and some well-funded AR ammo magazines and don't encourage them, Casey. Don't encourage them. Do I have time for a call? No. All right. Some calls on the Haiti situation next. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Welcome to the craziest story of the year on the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. In a case that is being investigated, God, it sounds like I'm making this stuff up, being investigated by the FBI, the U.S. Air Force Office of Special Investigation, and the Salina Police Department. What the heck? Two North Texas men have been now indicted. They got arrested last week. They've been indicted for some plot that they were going to take over this island off the coast of Haiti that has 87,000 people on it, kill all the men, turn all the women and children into sex slaves. The most evil, psychopathic thing I've heard. What is this? Are you Cobra Commander? Are you like a cartoon villain? Is that what you are? Are you like the bad guy in a Steven Seagal movie? Do you have a lair? I don't know. This doesn't make sense. How are they going to do it? They're going to recruit some homeless people from D.C., sail down there in a sailboat, not even a motorboat. I don't know. I don't know if could possibly be real. Ryan in Plano, you're on WBAP.
Hey, what's going on, James? Man, let me tell you, this is the most cockamamie story I think I've ever heard in my life. There is no way these guys would even think about pulling this off. And the fact they're even making the news on this and they're indicting these guys, come on, bro. What is going on with this world? What is going on? 20 and 21 years old, and these guys are going to pull it off. Guy says he joined the Air Force to get some training, yet they won't comment on his service with them from January of this year. That's not true. The guy says he went to Thailand to get sailing lessons. Since when is Thailand the sailing capital of the world? Like, it just none of this adds up, and it's just a waste of people's time to even talk about it. I know I'm calling in, but
I would think it's a waste of someone's time, but they have gotten arrested. They have gotten indicted. A grand jury saw the evidence that behind the story that I just told you and said, no, there's enough here for a legit trial. That's already happened.
Yeah, I get that. Are they really that hard up for crimes these days? This is what they're charging people with. Isn't there something else going on that's a little more important they should probably put their time and effort into?
Well, hell, we're talking about the Salina Police Department. They've got a legion of drunk teachers and perverts working at their schools.
Oh man, tell me about it. But like I said, 20 to 21-year-old. These aren't two Rambos. These are not guys in a movie. This is 80-some thousand people on the island. What kind of baloney is it?
Well, look, here's the good part of it. Guys that are this crazy and this stupid, if they were legit thinking they could do this or pull it off or it'd be worth even attempting, I think it's great that we managed to get them out of society before they did hurt somebody, because that's not only were they indifferent to hurting people, they were actively seeking it out. They weren't even sociopaths. They're psychopaths, allegedly, reportedly, whatever.
I mean, actively seeking it out. I mean, talking about it on their little Instagram and their social media DMs. I mean, is that really acting anything out that's talking about? I could say I'm going to go take over the Hawaiian Islands tomorrow. Is that going to get me arrested?
Yeah, no, I like that. I like that point of discussion, which makes me think they must have done something to like actively not just prepare for it, but to sort of put this plan in motion. Because you're right, just talking about
else to the story.
Exactly.
Yeah, something more.
I agree, and that's part of the reason it bothers me so much. Like, what are we missing here? Because I don't know, it's already weird enough. Thank you, Ryan in Plano.
Hey, buddy, have a good day.
Ian Granberry, you're on WBAP. What do you think, Ian?
Man, you just have me cracked up today. I mean, this is not a funny matter, but I can't do nothing but laugh. My eyes are streaming. There's something wrong with this story. A 2-year-old has more IQ than both of these guys together. There's got to be more to it. There's got to be more to it.
So let's flesh this out. You think like me, Ian, we're decent human beings. We don't want to make a rape island or child sex slaves to begin with, but think from the point of view as someone who does. And think of someone from the point of view who wants to do it so bad, they're willing to end their life as they know it. And so maybe if this is what they're driven to, plus you're an absolute psychopath, there is no long-term plan. They're just going to get in there, kill some people, do a little bit of raping, and expect to get taken out, but it'll be worth it if they can get some of their fantasies satiated. I suppose that's how the crazy brain works, because this is what they do.
Let us help them. Let's take them out for them, because these guys are crazy. I mean, there's no other word for this.
Well, yeah, and what do? Do you put guys like this to death? But they haven't hurt anybody thus far. They've just demonstrated, if all this is true, They've just demonstrated that they're absolute wackadoos. And so what do? Do you put them in a mental health hospital? Do you put them in a prison? Do you put them in the
That's a
wood
good
chipper?
question.
I don't know.
I'll go for the wood chipper because, I mean, these guys are going to do something. You obviously, by what they're planning, you put these on the street again, this is leading to something.
Yeah,
So,
hell no. You don't put these guys. If what, again, I should say this 10 times because I know lawyers are listening. If what's been reported is true, these guys should never be on the street again. Absolutely. All right. Thank you very much.
Right.
That's Ian and Granbury. Good 2 cents thrown in there. Very disturbing story. Coming up next. What did Jasmine Crockett say this time? Well, it's in response to Marjorie Taylor Greene announcing her resignation. Did you hear about this? You'll hear both of them coming up on the James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey there, welcome to the James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. I am your host, James Parker. Please help us support the 38th annual Cumulus Kids Toy Drive. It's going on right now, presented by Dan Harker and the Empower team. If you want to provide a toy, you can visit any Sandpack Auto Group location to drop off a new unwrapped toy for those in need, or you can also text KIDS to 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227. For more information and a link to donate, go to WBAP.com. All right, coming up next, what the heck did Jasmine Crockett say this time? But I think I'm going to give Chris and Flower Mound maybe the last word on this Haiti situation. For those of you just joining us, two men here in North Texas, one from Allen, one from Argyle, just got arrested last week and indicted because they were plotting to invade an island off the coast of Haiti, kill all the men, turn the women and children into sex slaves. And then what next? I don't know. This doesn't make sense at all. All right, Chris and Flower Mound, you're on WBAP.
Thanks, James. I thought I'd take the opposite tact. I know they sound like a couple of goofballs. Well, what if what they were doing was so serious and they barely got caught, and the authorities don't want to say that because it would scare everybody that somebody could get away with something like what these guys might have been trying to do? I have no idea what it is. Just thought, hey, you never know.
Now, that's an interesting angle because now you're asking what could the action do, but it's beyond the planning phase that really tripped this off. Did they already recruit a whole bunch of homeless people? Did they already have a militia? Is there more people that are going to be or that were getting wrapped up into this? Were they getting big and that's why they got stopped? I don't know.
Yeah, something along those lines, because I agree with everybody else and with you, something is missing, and it's got to be something decent, something big. Because otherwise,
more than just planning. Yeah. All right. I got it, Chris. Thank you, sir.
You bet. Thank you.
That's Chris and Flower Mound. This is Lester and LaRue. You're on WBAP.
Hey, brother.
Hey, Lester.
I think I would even send them money and then I want to put a GoPros on, because have them fellas ever met a Haitian with a machete? They wouldn't last 35 freaking seconds. Them Haitian men, I don't know what they're. Holy crap!
Well, don't you think they'd have pretty good odds if they had a gun? Gun versus machete. I take the gun.
No, they once they hit the water, they're going to lose their guns. They're not going. They don't know how to shoot. They don't know how to do jack squat, and the Haitians are going to come up, hack all their arms off, and yeah, I'd like to watch that on
a GoPro. Okay,
yeah,
all right,
go for it, dude. You go for it.
Lester wants to make it into a reality show. I like the way you think, Lester.
Yeah, don't you think the Haitians ain't going to put up with that crap? Come on now.
Of course not. No, the guys are actually they're absolutely going to get themselves killed. Like, I don't know how you would kill 40 unarmed men, even if you have guys. They could just swarm you at any time. No, they're going to get themselves killed. They just want sex slaves so damn bad that they're willing to take that risk, or they're blinded to that risk. What a bunch of absolute psychos these guys are. Absolute crazy people. And this could be who's standing in line behind you at Walmart when you get off work. Or when you got to swing by the grocery store because we're making banana bread. I forgot bananas. This is the guy that like bumped into you. It's like, excuse me, you going to give him attitude? Strange world. All right, so we go from that to something that's admittedly less strange.
Jasmine Crockett, queen of the liberal tea.
Bleach blonde, bad built butch body. Governor Hot Wheels, and he is a hot ass mess, honey.
Queen of the liberal tea.
Yeah, today's What Did Jasmine Crockett Say This Time, brought to you by the Homeless Coalition of D.C. Got a weird situation here. Marjorie Taylor Greene announced that she's going to resign in January. I always find that weird. Yeah, I'm going to resign when? January? Oh, okay. But Jasmine Crockett was asked about it. Now, Jasmine Crockett and Marjorie Taylor Greene, they have a history. In fact, Marjorie Taylor Greene is the reason you know Jasmine Crockett's name to begin with. Jasmine Crockett was a nobody until this happened in May of 2024 in Congress.
Do you know what we're here for? You know we're here about AG.
I don't think you know what you're here for.
Well, you the one talking about. I guess
I
you
think
still
your
stuck in the
fake
courtroom.
eyelashes are messing up.
No,
what you're
ain't
reading.
nothing.
Hold on.
Oh,
Order.
Mr. Chairman,
That's beneath
would
even
you
you
please
screen.
regain
Order.
order of
Even
your
you.
committee.
Order.
I do have a point of order, and I would like to move to take down Ms. Green's words. That is absolutely unacceptable. How dare you attack
meeting will
the
suspend.
physical
Meeting will
appearance of another
suspend.
person?
Are your
Move
feelings hurt?
her words down.
Aw.
Oh, girl, baby girl.
Oh, really?
Don't even play. with
Baby
me.
girl? I don't
We
think
are going to
so.
move, and we're going to take your words down.
I
Thank you very
second
much.
that motion.
Ms. Green agrees to strike her words.
I believe she
Chair
needs to apologize.
recognizes
No.
Mr.
She
Perry.
needs to apologize.
Okay, hold on. Then after Mr. Perry's going to be recognized, then Ms. Green
I'm not
has 4 minutes and
apologizing.
21
Well,
seconds.
then
Okay,
you're
reserve
not
the right to
striking your
object.
words.
I am
Mr.
not
Chair.
apologizing.
Now let's go. Come on, guys.
Why don't you debate me?
Mr. Chairman, the
it's
minority.
pretty
No,
self-evident.
You're not.
Yeah, you're
out
not.
of order.
You don't have enough
You're out of order.
intelligence.
Chair recognizes Mr. Perry.
Okay, move to strike
I'd like to
I
strike
move to
those
strike the
words
lady's
as well.
I move to
I would
strike-
like to
Strike
order.
the lady's words again.
all right. So with that, the stage was set. Jasmine Crockett utters the line that propels her to viral video infamy, and she has been the top billing Democrat ever since.
I'm just curious, just to better understand your ruling. If someone on this committee then starts talking about somebody's bleach blonde, bad built butch body, that would not be engaging in personalities, correct?
A what now?
Chairman, I make a motion to strike those words.
I don't think that's
Hold
a
on.
I'm
parliament.
trying to find clarification on what quality.
Chairman,
I didn't-
motion to
I had
strike
no
those
idea
words.
what you just said.
We're not gonna do this. Look, you guys earlier literally just said
You
Y'all did it
just
first.
voted to do
Y'all did
it.
it first, so
You
you don't want to
just
talk about
voted to do it.
Order.
I'm trying to get
Okay.
clarification.
Look
Well,
at
hey, guys. Oh, this is the best part, because men, you're dealing with an irate woman. You tell her to calm down. Does it work? Has it ever worked for you? Has it ever worked for any man? Has it ever worked for any man or woman when they tell an irate woman to calm down? In the history of human beings, we've gone all the way back to cuneiform tablets in ancient Samaria, and telling an irate woman to calm down still didn't work then.
Order.
I'm trying to get clarification.
Look at calm down. Calm
No,
down.
because this
I
is
would
what
like
y'all
to get
do.
through proceedings.
So I'm trying
Hey,
to get
Ms.
clarification.
Crockett, you're not
Y'all wanna
recognized.
play
Ms.
games?
I can't hear
Crockett.
you with your
And you
yelling.
don't want me
Calm
to
down.
Be,
Can
no,
you please calm
don't
down?
tell me to calm down.
Calm down.
Because y'all talk
Please calm
noise,
down.
and then you
You're
can't
out of
take
control.
Because if I
Look,
come,
Chairman,
if I
can
come
we
and
send
talk
out- take a
about
break
her,
for 5
y'all
minutes?
gonna have a
Mr.
problem.
Chairman, Mr. Chairman.
Chair.
Oh, so this is how these two kicked off Jasmine Crockett's new high-profile career. They were adversaries for the longest time, starting about a month or so ago, about 6 weeks ago. They started to become friends. Now Marjorie Taylor says she's going to resign. Jasmine Crockett has a response that you're going to hear next on The James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey there, fellow Texans. Welcome back to the James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. I am your host, James Parker. For some of you, you're usually in the carpool lane right now, but you're not because our kids have the whole week off. What kind of garbage is that? What happened to the old 2-day rule when it was when I was in school? We're just sloughing off now? Is this what we're doing? Taking a whole week off for Thanksgiving these days? Gripes aside, one of the top stories of the day. This is a little bit of a political intrigue here. Because Marjorie Taylor Greene has announced that she's going to resign. Now, not immediately. It's going to take effect in January. Why? I really don't know. Now, she used to be one of the most MAGA of the MAGA in the Congress. And there's been a couple of disputes as of late to where she sort of severed ties with Donald Trump. And they both have the same personality trait that does not mix well with each other. To where if someone's on your side, if someone's on your team, they're great, they're brilliant. I know it, you know it, everybody knows that, believe me. If someone is not on your team or you just get the slightest bit of criticism, he's a washed up actor, he's terrible, he's trash. I know it, you know it, everybody knows it, believe me. Marjorie Taylor Greene and Donald Trump both do that. So when Marjorie Taylor Greene disagrees with Donald Trump on extending the Obamacare subsidies or shutting down the government, he responds back with, she's terrible. And then she necessarily has to respond back with, he's terrible. And now, unless there's going to be an adult in the room and someone comes forward first, these kids are pretty much not friends anymore. It's weird to see because she was among the most MAGA of the MAGA. Now, here's where it gets kind of fun. I was showing you in the previous segment how Marjorie Taylor Greene is responsible for the career of Jasmine Crockett. And I don't mean in total, but this newfound fame where she was a nobody, then all of a sudden she's the one that's on all the Sunday shows. She was on CNN every single day last week. No one is getting more media time, especially on the national platforms, than Jasmine Crockett. And a lot of that sprung from the bleach blonde, bad built butch body comment. Which was cool because it just remixed so easily. Couple of examples on just how famous this got. Because if you're not all over social media, this is really what did it. When people ask, well, where did Jasmine Crockett come from? I didn't hear from her 4 years ago. No. This is what did it. And then this. So you may not think that's important, but the ability for kids to hear that, and I don't say that like rhetorically, like, oh, kids these days. I mean, literally, kids can actually now relate to the discussion that's going on. Kids know who she is. And so you have a few remixes like that. That's why she is where she is today. Now, they have been classic enemies up until about 6 weeks ago or so. And so now let's see how Jasmine Crockett reacts to her resignation.
You know what? Honestly, I was like, you've got to be kidding me. You're on the other side of the president for 1 week and you can't take the heat. Imagine what it is to sit in my shoes, to not only be on the opposite side of him, but to have people like her who are constantly fanning the flames of hate. And imagine what those threats look like when you literally are someone like me. But at the end of the day, I know that I serve the people of Texas 30. And so my job isn't to be there and necessarily do whatever is going to make the president not be on my back, but instead is to focus on making sure that I can push forward with policies that are positive for Texas 30.
Interesting. I don't understand, even if part of this is true, and the fact that without Donald Trump's support, without his endorsement, she can't get through the primary process. Why doesn't she just wait out for the rest of her term? Why does she just stay in office and do what she can while she's there, and she doesn't have to resign? The voters are going to put her out. Why resign at all? I don't. No, this is kind of like the Haiti story. I feel like we're going to get some new info in about a month or 3 months, and that'll explain it. Because Jasmine Crockett doesn't even seem to be that upset or concerned or whatever. Because remember, these girls were at each other's throats until about 6 weeks ago. Strange stuff. Here's the WFAA report. Marjorie Taylor Greene resigns. See if we can get any more, glean some insights out of this.
President Donald Trump is now weighing in after Republican Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene announced her resignation from Congress Friday night. This comes after a very public fallout with President Trump over the vote to release the Epstein files. The Georgia representative spent 5 years in Congress and was once one of Trump's biggest supporters. The president responded with a post on Truth Social calling her a traitor. He suggested this morning when speaking with reporters that she could not survive a primary challenge.
I said, go your own way. And once I left her, she resigned because she would never have survived a primary. But I think she's a nice person.
Representative Greene's last day in Congress will be January 5th, 2026.
I don't get it. Why not stay in office? And again, not a rhetorical question. I'm just admitting that I really don't get it. Does that mean we're not going to get any more remixes though? I love those. All right, coming up on the James Show, we're going to get what did Jasmine Crockett say this time? And it's not going to be about Marjorie Taylor Greene. She was on Meet the Press yesterday, and she was asked a couple of important questions that I think you'll be interested in. Number one, will she run for Senate in Texas? And number two, how does she explain herself to Jake Tapper after the Jeffrey Epstein donations scandal of last week? You'll hear them both coming up next. 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker on News Talk 820 and 93.3 FM WBAP. Hey, welcome to the James Show. News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP. I'm your host, James Parker. What's going on with this Russia-Ukraine ceasefire deal? We've now seen maps and everything. Is it a good deal? Will it happen? My next guest has hopefully some answers. Blaine Holt, U.S. Air Force Brigadier General, now retired, on the James Show. So let's talk about that first. Can you just give me a ballpark? And I know you don't have a crystal ball, but do you think that the Russia-Ukraine thing is going to stick? How's the ceasefire holding up between Gaza and Israel? All right, we're talking with Blaine Holt, a retired Brigadier General from the Air Force, former NATO commander. Let's go to our side of the world here. U.S. Navy sent a aircraft group toward Venezuela. This doesn't seem like it's just about drugs, Blaine. I don't even think this is that bad for the cartels. And I think if we were going after the drug trade and that was the primary motivation, you'd be hitting boats from Colombia and Peru before Venezuela or even Mexico. I think this is almost 100% political. And not that drugs aren't involved. It's just drugs are now his income source besides oil. And so you cut him off. I'm thinking regime change for Venezuela. So, what do they do when they go down there? When I say they, I mean like an aircraft carrier group. Do they run drills like really close to the coastline, or how do we see this have some sort of effect on foreign policy? I saw a headline earlier today, Blaine, that Trump and Xi Jinping have spoke by phone and they're going to visit each other next year. How are we doing with them? I think we still have some tariff questions up in the air with China, and they're acting like it's all settled, or they're putting on a good face, but I don't think it's all settled, I guess I should say. What's this fella's name again? Hu Chun Mao? Oh, Hu Chun. Thank you. I'm sorry. I thought that was the number 5 at China King. I'm kidding. All right. Well, thank you very much. This is Blaine Holt, U.S. Air Force Brigadier General Emeritus, former NATO commander, and apparently knows what's going on outside of our borders. I appreciate your insights. Where do we find more of your work online, Blaine? DangerousIntellectuals.com. Thanks again. This is Blaine Holt. Appreciate it, sir. All right, coming up next, you'll hear Jasmine Crockett explain if she's running for Senate in Texas against John Cornyn and how she explains her Jeffrey Epstein donation boo-boo from last week. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 and 93.3 FM WBAP. All right, so is Jasmine Crockett running for Senate in Texas or not? This is the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. One of the reasons I spend so much time reviewing this woman is because she is the face of the Democrat Party right now. If they were smart, they'd be putting her on the ticket to run for Senate, because that would catapult her to being on the stage to run for the Democrat primary in 2028. Now, whether she wins or not, that would solidify her as one of the people in the conversation. And for here, through the rest of her career, as long as she doesn't screw anything up, she has that card. She can always come back in because everyone will already know who she is. But she was on Face the Nation with Jake Tapper yesterday. He asked her a couple of important questions. I already played the stuff about Marjorie Taylor Greene, and that was fun. We had a good laugh at that. But this is kind of important for us here as Texans. Will she run for Senate?
I am still thinking about running. We did get our polling back, so we are moving on to the next phase to determine whether or not this is would make sense in the moment, and if the infrastructure can be built out in the way that I see it being necessary to actually be able to win, as well as we are continuing to look at the polling on the other side. Listen, they are in a civil war right now on the Republican side as it relates to who will become their nominee. John Cornyn has served the state of Texas for decades at this point in time in some capacity. And right now, I don't know if he's MAGA enough to make it through his primary, but we are evaluating all things and seeing what it would look like to put together a team. And we will make a final decision by Thanksgiving on whether or not we're going to ultimately move forward.
So we have when the decision is going to be made by Thanksgiving. She had said in previous iterations on the James Show that she's going to do some polling, and whatever the polling says, then she'll have her answer based off of that polling. She has the polling back, and now she's not going to say yes or no on that. But if I had to put it down, I'm more than 50-50 leaning toward the fact that she's going to run. And she should. She has nothing to lose. She can run for this primary. If she doesn't get it, she can still keep her old seat. If she does win in the primary, she runs for Senate. She can still run at the same time for her old seat. So if she doesn't get the Senate, then she doesn't lose her job. What's the downside to this? Well, from our point of view, none. Well, what's the other point of view, James? Well, whatever's going on behind the scenes, behind the curtain, in the halls of power at the Democrat Party themselves. Because if your own party isn't on board, even if you're wildly popular, that could stop you. Who is the most popular candidate coming out of the Democrat primary in 2016? I guess I should say 2015 because that's when the primary was. No. All the voting was in 2016. In 2016, who got the most votes? Who won the most caucuses and primaries? Who polled the highest? Well, the answer to all those is Bernie Sanders. But the party wasn't on Bernie Sanders' side. So the party made sure that he didn't win. So Jasmine Crockett may have a problem with the machinery that is the Democrats. And I mean that with a capital D. I don't mean you if you're a Democrat voter out in the hinterlands. And if you're saying, why would you say that? Well, about 20% of people listening right now are Democrats. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about the people who decide on the Democrat Congressional Committee. Are they going to give out their money to the incumbent, or are they going to fund a primary challenger? Are they going to have their big speakers come to their big fundraisers and their big rallies? Or are they going to point them to their challenger? See, one of the crazy parts about this being too democratic is how much actual power the parties themselves have. And again, not the small R Republicans or the little d Democrats. I mean the people who are actually running those parties. So I think something's going on behind the scenes. Because if they were smart, they would be running her out there with fanfare. They'd be running out there with a Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade. They would have one of those big floats like Snoopy or Underdog or whoever. They would be floating her down the Macy's Thanksgiving parade on Thursday. She's their best chance. She's their brightest face. She's their young future. So what does this mean, Parker? This means she's ticked somebody off. This means, and it could be a good thing, this means she's not easily controllable by the party powers. And this also fuels my fringe theory that I get a lot of hell for, but I'm sticking with it, that if we come back in 20 years, Jasmine Crockett is just as likely to be a Republican as a Democrat. She's one of these people that flips. She's one of the people that converts. She's not a true believer. She's playing the game, and she's doing a damn good job of it. And at some point, her political capital is going to be so great, and she is going to be so dejected and pooed on by her own party that she's going to be ripe for a conversion. You know, like we were just watching the Star Wars sequels. It's like there's good in her. I can still feel it. You give her time, she'll turn. We'll convert her. So that's her running for Senate. If I had to guess now, we're going to find out by Thanksgiving. That answer is a big fat yes. The other one was the boo-boo she did last week where she's like, well, some people were getting some donations from somebody named Jeffrey Epstein. She named a whole bunch of Republicans. Turned out it's not the Jeffrey Epstein. Here's how she answered herself in front of Jake Tapper yesterday on the morning show. And listen, the Sunday morning shows aren't something they hand out lightly. For her to go into this arena, get asked this very tough question, come away with an answer that, and it's not going to placate you, but it'll placate the base. This is why I think she's far more effective than a Kamala Harris or Joe Biden ever could be. They couldn't do media like this.
There was a back and forth this week after you accused former Republican Congressman, now EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin, of accepting campaign donations from Jeffrey Epstein. It turned out it wasn't convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. It was a Long Island neurosurgeon, Dr. Jeffrey Epstein, different person. You corrected the record. However, now the neurosurgeon is telling the New York Post that he is threatening revenge against you. He's going to donate to your campaign, so you have to admit you accepted money from a Jeffrey Epstein, if not the Jeffrey Epstein. What's your response to that?
Listen, if there's anybody else who's alive and decides that they want to donate just so that you'll be on my FEC report, I am here for it. I will take your donation, especially since Jeffrey Epstein is now deceased. I don't think that it will be confusing whatsoever that it was not him, unless he's come back from the dead. So we'll see.
So not bad. Again, you're not thrilled with that answer, but that's enough to get her through. That's better than Kamala would have done. That's better than Joe Biden would have done. And that's why they wouldn't have even stuck him on the Sunday morning shows in the first place. Someone would have just cackled their way through it like Hillary. But coming up next on the James Show, an amazing story from our neighbors up in Oklahoma. A 7-Eleven clerk was being attacked. She shot the attacker. Now she's getting fired because, generally companies frown upon you shooting customers, I suppose. But you'll hear the heroic story and probably cheer her on quite a bit next on the James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. All right, I want you to meet a hero here. It's a she from our neighbors up north in Oklahoma. It's the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Your home for Mark Lee, Van Camp, and Robbins. And we're doing the Cumulus Kids Toy Drive now. So I need you to donate. We're kind of behind on donations. We got a little bit of a late start. But all you got to do is either drop off a toy at a Sampac Auto Group location. Ask your phone, it knows. But I think the more likely scenario, what would be easiest and quickest, most convenient for you, is to donate. So either text KIDS to the same phone number you call in, 800-288-9227. Or when you get home or get a chance or you're not behind the wheel of a car, go to WBAP.com, find the link there. Donate. Donate. It helps. It really does go to kids. I went to Charles Nash Elementary last year, and I was there when they handed them out. This is not a scam. This is the real deal. All right, now I'm excited for you to meet the hero of the day. It's a 7-Eleven clerk.
Stephanie Dilliard says 7-Eleven corporate called her today and fired her for using her own gun in self-defense. They say it's against company policy. She says she's lucky to be alive. 25-year-old Stephanie Dilliard was a 7-Eleven clerk who faced terror after she says a man tried to strangle her after she refused a counterfeit $100 bill for burritos, beef sticks, and ice cream. It happened Thursday, just before midnight.
He threatened me, said that he was going to slice my head off, and then that's when I tried to call the police. Realized he started throwing things at me, came behind the counter. I tried to run off, but he grabbed his hands around my neck and pushed me out of the counter space. That's when I pulled out my gun and I shot him.
Police say the suspect, 59-year-old Kenneth Thompson, ran to MacArthur Boulevard and Northwest 34th Street and called 911. Police say Dilliard is protected under Oklahoma's self-defense law, but she says 7-Eleven Human Resources fired her Monday morning for using her own gun.
Said that they were going to separate from employment because of a violation of policy.
Dilliard says she was working by herself from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. for more than 2 years. On Monday, she still had a scratch on her neck and burns on her finger from firing the pistol.
This was a situation where I felt like I was put in a corner between choosing between my job and my life. And I'm always going to choose my life because there's people that depend on me. I'm going home. You know, that's my goal. I need to be here for my kids.
Thompson was arrested at the hospital and charged with assault and battery, threatening acts of violence, trying to pass a fake bill, and a felony warrant for violating parole. Dilliard hopes this incident serves as a wake-up call so no other clerks get hurt or killed, especially women.
If I known that, there's a potential where somebody could be for real in taking my life away, that I will do whatever it takes.
Man, I love this story for 1,000 different reasons. Let's just start going through it. All right. Number one, feminist. This is what real empowerment looks like. Feminists, you want women to be empowered. You want them to be strong. You want them to be equal to men. Well, then they're going to have to be armed. Because the real question of gun control, if for feminists out there, is do you want a 105-year-old woman to be able to defend herself against a 300-pound man or not? What about two? So the debate over gun control, I find it absolutely baffling for feminists to be pro-gun control. And for people who are worried about, how do you fight crime or what do you do about crime in the inner city or how do you stay safe in the face of all this crime in the inner city? This is how you do it. This is how you fight crime. You don't take guns away from people. You don't take guns away from the law-abiding citizens. If they're in a high crime area, they're the ones who need them the most. It's the dumbest thing in the world to say, oh, it's a high crime area. We better go take all the guns away from people who follow the law. Because that's all gun control does. Also, feminists, if we really were in this patriarchal hellscape where men are oppressing women and we're not really the Enlightenment philosophers from our 18th century brethren, we're just plain old oppressive men who are suppressing women underfoot And we live in a patriarchy, so men get away with it. And the whole system is set up so women are exploited and used and abused. If we really were in a patriarchy, if we really were on the cusp of the Handmaid's Tale where you have to walk around dressed like a ketchup bottle, shouldn't you encourage women to be armed? Wouldn't the natural, logical next step would be for you to arm yourself if we really were in a patriarchal hellscape? So you kill your own worldview by saying all these crazy things like men are just abusing women and the system lets them get away with it. Hell, it encourages it. And then in the next breath, in the next sentence, try and tell women they shouldn't be armed. Women, you want to be safe? This lady just demonstrated how you do it. You want to be empowered? This woman just demonstrated how you do it. You want to not be worried about crime or worry less about crime, or at least have a fighting chance when crime comes to your doorstep? This is how you do it. Hey, anti-gun weenies out there. I know for the 4 of you that can stomach this show. What would have happened to this woman had she not been armed? And I know some people are going to say, yes, why don't you say it to 7-Eleven? Listen, man, 7-Eleven is just doing what the lawyers forced them to do at this point. They're going to get sued into oblivion. 7-Eleven's not the problem. Tort lawyers are the problem. The ambulance chasers are the problem. And the anti-gun money that is behind them is the real problem. You know, what was it, like every town mayor or whatever, moms against every town violence or something or other? Those idiots are the reason why 7-Eleven has to act like this. I'm sure 7-Eleven would rather their criminals get shot instead of their employees getting strangled to death. But now I have some questions for my fellow patriots on Team Red. Dads, are your daughters armed? Dads, did you teach your daughters guns that if they choose to be armed, they would be comfortable doing so? If they work in a terrible neighborhood, if they work in a business that's prone to crime like a 7-Eleven in the middle of the night, did you teach your girls like her dad taught her? And another interesting angle in this. Does this count as white rural rage? I was told white rural rage was a thing and we all need to be scared of it. And if you get out of the major cities, you get out of the big cities, you get into the hinterlands of rural America, that's where the real fear is. That's where the real crime is. That's where the real danger is. That's like if you're not on Team Blue, you can't even go out there because it's so dangerous. Someone playing a banjo, flying a Confederate flag is going to come string you up like, I don't know, Mississippi Burning or Deliverance or something. Whatever your hellscape fan fiction is, we have another example of the culture that you and I follow, the culture of Team Red prevailing over the culture of Team Blue. If this woman had been an anti-gun weenie, she would probably be dead. If this woman had listened to the Rachel Maddows and the David Hoggs and the ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN, MSNBCs of the world, she would probably be dead. If she had listened to anyone on Team Blue that's in charge of a major city that discourages you from carrying guns. Guns are scary. We're going to prohibit them anywhere we can, even the state fair. You'd be dead. If you had listened to the corporate weenie overlords of whatever job you're in, and I'm a big fan of 7-Eleven, so again, I'm not slagging them, she would be dead. The real lesson here is arm yourself. If you're not allowed to arm yourself, this lady armed herself anyway, and it saved her life. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. Mass deportations are relieving some schools of thousands of their students. Sounds like great news to me. You'll hear it next on The James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey there, fellow Texans. Welcome back to the James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. I am your host, James Parker. I am the father of 4 children, all of whom are in school. Not this week, because we're within, a calendar week of a holiday. So God forbid if we go to school. We're like 5 days away from a holiday. Lazy people. Anyway, that aside. Yeah, 4 kids. That's a lot. The situation in some schools that I'm hearing about is laughably overhyped. I'm going to give you an example here, but this could come from almost any large city. This is just the one I saw on Friday, and I'm seriously, when I say I'm laughing, I don't just go, and just like blow air out of my nose. Like, I laugh at these stories because they tell you, they already know what their answer is. Deportations are bad. Enforcing the immigration laws as they're written, bad. And if you don't agree, then what do you want? You want these poor little kids to not go to school? And so you hear all these sad stories. And the stories they're telling you just aren't sad. But they're sad. And so I don't know if they're really sad because they haven't thought about this for more than 44 seconds. They're dumb, or they just go along because they're acting and this is what they think they're supposed to do. I really don't know how you can hear stories about how schools are being damn near emptied because of deportations and not think this is a good thing. Here's an example from Charlotte, North Carolina.
David Gillespie says the last 24 hours have been tough.
They should be able to come there and get their education. They should be able to come there and spend time with their friends, socialize. They should feel secure.
He's seen what 2 days of Customs and Border Patrol agents taking more than 130 people into custody does to students.
My homeroom class typically has 16 students in it. We had 4.
District-wide, there are 145,030 students enrolled in Charlotte-Mecklenburg schools. On Monday, 30,399 were absent, 28,136 unexcused. While CMS doesn't break down the numbers by ethnic origin, Gillespie, a multilingual teacher, did.
The students whose parents come from Latin American countries were the students we were missing. So that was kind of the line, even among the ML students, is that we were missing Hispanic students.
David says news of the operation reached his students well before they entered the classroom on Monday. He says those who have come back are still scared, and he's unsure if or when the other students will return.
Oh, man, they're acting like that's terrible, and I'm just over here just thinking this is the best story I've heard all day. How is this not a good thing that we have fewer students in the classroom? How is this not a good thing? And look, they even said most of these are people from Latin American countries. Yeah, so I guess they're here illegally. If people who aren't supposed to be there are voluntarily withdrawing from school, and some of them going back to their home country, isn't that a win? Can you imagine? He griped, I usually have 16 kids in my homeroom. Today I had 4. Well, good. The student to teacher ratio is much better now, right? I mean, we have thousands of fewer students. Can we get a property tax cut now? Don't you have a great case to get a property tax cut? If you have thousands of fewer students, tens of thousands of fewer students, because the estimate here in North Texas, just in the schools around here in our metropolitan area, it's estimated 44,000 of them shouldn't even be here. They're illegal immigrants. If we got rid of all 44,000 of those students, then we would spend 44,000 students worth of education less. Couldn't we make the case for property tax cuts? Wouldn't you probably get a property tax cut? Because we could also cut thousands of administrators. And that's the real dastardly part about education spending. When you look at the federal level, how much money have they spent on secondary education? Pell Grants and just flat out block grants and loans and all that good stuff. They've grown their spending by like 4-fold since 2000, but the student population in our colleges has barely gone up at all. So where did all this new money go? They don't need 4 times as many teachers. They don't have 4 times as many students. They don't even have twice as many students. It all goes to administrators. It goes to a Title IX administrator, and then they have a staff, and then they have a public information officer for it, and then they have a DEI officer and a DEI staff, and you have a women's studies or a women. It's just all administration. You know what else we could cut? Thousands of ESL programs. English as a second language programs. When I started out in Bug Tussle ISD, we didn't have an ESL program. By the time I graduated, illegal immigrants had moved up into Texas so much that we had started an ESL program. And I know that because my grandmother was the teacher of the ESL. But here's the real question. How do you even know this is a bad thing? I don't think you're even going to know this is a bad thing until the end of the year. School year, that is. And why do you say that? Well, because then we'll actually have a body of evidence for the rest of the kids. Because I don't give a damn if this interrupts the educational attainment of people who aren't supposed to be here anyway. But for the American kids, white, black, Hispanic even, let's see what happens if we remove tens of thousands of illegal students. What do the scores look like? Well, will our academic scores improve? Will the ratings of some of our schools improve? The lowest rated school here in the North Texas area is Lake Worth. Is it because they're dumb over there? Do they have a bunch of lead in the water? They've been eating paint chips as a kid? No, it's one of the highest school districts with illegal immigrant students, and they're not going to do well in the standardized testing if they can't read English. So the number one predictor on whether or not a school will be failing or successful isn't whether or not it has white or black or brown students. It's whether or not they have American or illegal immigrant students. Here's another big question. How do you know if this is good for the students or not until the end of the school year? We'll be able to know, does the behavior improve? Was there more absences? Was there more fights? Was there more truancy? Was there more disturbances? Was there more behavioral issues? So let's see what happens. How about I'll even tap the brakes and not just say it's a good thing for the fiscal reasons. Let's wait till the end of the year for our final answer and see if the scores go up. See if the behavior improves. And if your academic scores do go up, how do you explain that this is anything other than a good thing? It saves the taxpayers millions, if not billions of dollars. And so many of this staff, administration, teachers can be turned back over to the private sector to put into the pot instead of take out of the pot. And I mean the taxpayer pot. From my point of view, unless you hate this country, unless you're trying to sandbag this country, unless you're trying to bankrupt this country or destroy its heritage and its culture and transforming it into something else, this is necessarily a good thing. And I don't see how anyone can argue against it. And then I got to turn on every freaking report on TV and see them take the opposite take on that, on something that seems just obvious as hell. 800-288-9227. Coming up next, John Ingham from the WBAP Weekend Crew. Going to talk about the Cowboys. Got a weird win last night. Details coming up on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP. Hey there, fellow Texans. Welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. I am your host, James Parker. Also, since I'm a good little Texas boy, born and bred out in East Texas, I'm a Cowboys fan. And while I don't hold out much hope for the rest of the season, our postseason aspirations are all but done. It is nice to see them beat the Eagles yesterday in what turned out to be kind of a weird game. John Ingham from the WBAP Weekend Crew is joining us now. And John, I mean, I'm glad they won, but what the hell happened? They went down 21-0, and then they turned into a completely different team. I'm not even sure what I saw yesterday. Hang on, you can get moderate applause, tepid applause for a Charles Dickens reference. Go ahead. Yeah. Shut up. Muskrats, yeah. How did they give up 21 immediately and then just shut the gate? No more points past that. Oh, so the Eagles are a little dinged up, huh? Oh, beautiful metaphor. This is John Ingham from the WBAP Weekend Crew talking about what the hell happened with the Cowboys this weekend. And that's a weird thing to say after they won. But, John, I still feel like this defense is a bunch of new guys. Like, who are these guys? Some of the names I recognize, like DeMarvion Overshawn came back, but he changed his number, So is this going to be indicative of what we have next year for a defense, or is this kind of a fluke? Yeah, I like to do our Cowboys updates from the point of view of for someone who doesn't watch football, if they want to know what's going on and be able to be part of conversations when they're sitting around people who are talking football. And so what he's talking about there is there's 6 games left, and we're sitting at 5 wins, 5 losses, 1 tie. And so you think we need to get 10, and which I kind of agree with. You need to get to 10 wins to get that wild card spot, get in the playoffs. But that means we have to win 5 of our last 6 games. That seems like a tall order. Well, all right, I'm gonna do something dangerous here, Ingham. We saw our defensive line look terrible at the beginning of the year, but there were some moves made, some pieces were shuffled around, some trades happened, some people were signed, and now our defensive line's pretty good. Do you have to give credit to the general manager, Jerry Jones? But Woo, that's a bold thing to say for a team that's 5-5-1. But hey, I appreciate it. John Ingham from the WBAP Weekend crew. Thanks for a little Cowboys talk on the James Show. Why, thank you. Someone knows actually where I live. Coming up next, we're playing Dead or Alive for 2 tickets to see Weird Al Yankovic. He's coming to Dickies Arena September 25th. No, this isn't old copy. I mean September 25th of next year. Special guest, Puddle's Pity Party. I know you Weird Al fans, just go ahead and call in right now. Dead or Alive's the easy game. Today's category is world leaders. You just say Dead or Alive on all of them. You got a pretty good chance. 800-288-9227. That's the number you call in right now to play Dead or Alive. 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker on News Talk 820 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey, homeowners. James Parker here for Rhino Shield. Don't you dare paint your house. If you like the James Show, if you like WBAP, if you've ever cared for me or Miss Parker at all for 1 second in your entire life, you will not paint your house. You will go to rhinoshielddfw.com. You will get Gary to come out and he will show you how the technology works. He will show you how much it will cost. He will show you how much he can finance it for. And then if you still paint, that's all I can ask for. I'm not asking you to get Rhino Shield. I'm just asking you to give it a look. Find out what you're missing. Find out what we're talking about. Find out why people are so happy with it that they never have to paint their house again. Does anyone get Rhino Shield and then change their mind later and rip it down and put paint back up? I'm not sure if we have one story. In fact, I'll ask Gary that. But Rhino Shield, it expands and contracts with your house. That's how it lasts forever. There's no cracking, no flaking, no peeling. It insulates, it blocks UV rays, it's water resistant, it's thicker than paint, it maintains your surface texture, comes with a 25-year transferable warranty. So call Gary, have him come out to your house, get the estimate, get the demonstration, find out how it works, and find out about the financing. If you mention the James Show, you get 20% off now through the holidays. Can I make it any better than that? So go to rhinoshielddfw.com, rhinoshielddfw.com. Hey, who wants to play Dead or Alive? It's the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. I am your host, James Parker. If you're new to the show, Dead or Alive, we play this every Monday, and I'm going to stop down, and I'm going to give you a list of people. You have to tell me if each one is dead or alive. Whoever's on the phone at the end wins. With that, let's go. Thank you, Mr. Jovi. On today's episode of Dead or Alive, we're playing for 2 tickets to Weird Al Yankovic's Bigger and Weirder 2026 tour. It'll be at Dickies Arena in Fort Worth on September 25th. So for those of you who like to plan 10 months in ahead, he's also going to be with special guest Puddle's Pity Party. Tickets in information at livenation.com, or someone's going to get a pair right here. The category for today's episode of Dead or Alive, World Leaders. World Leaders. To the phones we go. What is it, all dudes? You know what? Weird Al is for dudes. Chicks don't get Weird Al like guys do. Because I remember being like 14 years old, and that was the funniest thing in the world. He's fat. That's hilarious. Amish Paradise, that's hilarious. Me and my guy friends are rolling on the ground like children. Girls are looking at us like we're dumb. Because we are. Jason in Frisco, you ready for Dead or Alive?
Sure.
All right. Are you a big Weird Al fan?
No, not really.
Well, then I hope you lose, sir. First off, Manuel Noriega. He was the leader of Panama from 1983 to 1989. Is he dead or alive?
Dead.
Dead. Died in 2017. Jacques Chirac. He was the prime minister of France from 95 to 2007. Is he dead or alive?
He's alive.
He's dead. Now you don't get the tickets you didn't want anyway, Jason. Thank you. That's wild. All right, Scott in Dallas. You ready for Dead or Alive?
Yes.
Do you actually want the tickets, or are you just...
I do.
Okay.
I do.
All right. Tony Blair. He was the prime minister of the UK from 97 to 2007. Is he dead or alive?
Alive.
72 years old. Gerhard Schroeder, Germany. He was their prime minister from 98 to 2005. Is he dead or alive?
He's alive.
81 years old. Boutros Ghali. He was the UN Secretary General from 92 to 96. Is he dead or alive?
He's dead.
Yes, sir. His successor, Kofi Annan, UN Secretary General from 97 to 2006. Dead or alive?
He's alive.
Nope, he's dead. Dang it. You don't know your UN Secretary Generals? That's totally understandable. I had to look it up myself, Scott. Don't feel bad. Jeff in Me So Forney. Are you ready for Dead or Alive?
Yep, definitely.
All right. We only have 2 people left. Or no, wait. Yeah, 2 people left. And then the Weird Al tickets can be yours. You ready?
Yep.
Former Vice President of the United States, Dick Cheney. Dead or alive?
He's dead.
Yeah, he just died last week. And finally, for the Weird Al tickets, Jeff and Forney, Vicente Fox. He was the president of Mexico from 2000 to 2006. Is he dead or alive?
I believe he's dead.
No, he's alive. I know. Sorry, Jeff. Jonathan Kaufman?
Yes, sir.
Well, you're sitting in the winner's seat. You don't even have to answer a question. Do you even want the Weird Al tickets?
I sure do.
Oh, that's easy then. That's easy. Jeff's loss is your game, Jonathan and Kaufman. I'm going to put you on hold, even though you did absolutely nothing. Garrett will get your information, and we're going to give you the tickets. You have to get the last one right. If you want the tickets, that's the game. Whoever's on the phone at the end of the list gets the tickets. Now, today, Jonathan Kaufman has won 2 tickets to Weird Al Yankovic's Bigger and Weirder 2026 tour. He's coming to Dickies Arena in Fort Worth, September 25th. Special guest Puddle's Pity Party. Tickets and information at livenation.com. And thus concludes today's edition of Dead or Alive. Yeah. Ha ha ha. All right, today's going to be, this week is going to be the busiest travel Thanksgiving holiday in 15 years. WFAA.
But remember, Thanksgiving is actually the busiest travel holiday of the whole year, even busier than Memorial Day or the 4th of July. AAA says about 6 million people are expected to fly within the U.S. for Thanksgiving, and that is up 2% from last year. And the FAA even says it is gearing up for the busiest Thanksgiving air travel in 15 years.
Okay, well, I'm going to be traveling out there. The good news is whatever chaos and backlog from the government shutdown that built up has already been dissipated. So things should be back to normal. But normal for the Thanksgiving weekend, that's pretty damn busy. That's what normal is. I myself am going to be driving. And I tell you what, man, there is nothing more soothing, relaxing, and comforting than being stuck in a car with 4 kids for 7 hours. I mean, it's just the best. It's not nerve-wracking at all. Okay, still coming up on the James Show. We have a weird story about a road rage incident, and I just don't understand these people. I don't understand how someone driving, even if they did cut you off, even if they are tailgating you, why do you care so much that you have to shoot at them? You'll hear the story next on the James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Bro, I do not get road rage people. I don't understand it. I've met them. I know they exist. I've observed it. I can even kind of get used to it at some point, but I do not understand it. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. I'm your host, James Parker. You're listening to this amazing program called The James Show. But this report comes from WFAA, and this happened, what, in Burleson? And yes, listen, I know you're not going to do this. Someone out there will do it. I know she says Waterburger, okay? Just look past that and listen to the story.
Burleson police are investigating a suspected road rage shooting in the parking lot of a Whataburger. Officers say 2 drivers pulled off Wilshire Boulevard around 6 o'clock tonight, and they say one shot the other in the stomach. The victim went into the restaurant to try to get help. They were taken to a hospital. They did not have critical injuries. Investigators say the shooter drove to a nearby business and waited for police to arrive. They say that person was questioned, but was not taken into custody.
Okay, we'll walk through all this bit by bit, but I don't understand why people get so mad behind the wheel of a car. Now, I've tried to, and here's the nearest I can come up with. Like the only rational explanation for this is what you're doing driving a car is the most dangerous thing any of us do every day, right? Unless you're a rodeo clown or you juggle chainsaws for fun. This is the most dangerous thing you do every day. And so whenever these people make a mistake, it could cost you your life. And your life is in the hands of all the idiots around you. And so I guess that's top of mind, and you're constantly worried that this could be life-threatening. On top of that, there's some people, I also don't have this gene, who get real offended when they're disrespected. Now, I've never had that before. People come up and they call me names. They call my mom names. They call Miss Parker names. I'll be like, okay, you done? I don't feel disrespected. I'm not going to go do jail time by attempting to beat you up. It's just, you're an idiot. You've established it. I don't care what your opinion is anyway. So even if you do disrespect me, but it doesn't mean I don't think enough about you to value your opinion enough to be offended. But some people do. Oh man, I used to work with this guy, Matt. He was a road rage guy. And in the 2 years, only worked with this dude for 2 years. He got in 3 road rage fights. 3. So for some people, this is a hobby. I'm not saying they all go and seek it out. But this is the scenario that I think of every time a road rage instance happens. Because now let's get back to the actual story WFAA reported. You have a road rage incident. Happened in the parking lot of a Whataburger. The guy that did the shooting drove off, went to some place after, he realized he'd put enough distance between him and the conflict, called the cops, waited on the cops. The cops show up, have a chat with him, and they let him go. They don't arrest him. They definitely don't charge him with anything, which implies that this was at least perceived in the initial round of questioning as a justified shooting. So what do we have? We don't have the guy with the gun that got all mad and chased someone down and shot him. That's what the gun control weenies fear the most. And that's the story that they want you to believe, and that's the stories that they highlight. But what really happened was some psycho got upset in a road rage incident, tried to attack a guy, and luckily the good guy there had a gun. Now, this is all implied and inferred and just taken a lot of creative liberties with the little bit of details that we actually have. But that's what you can kind of guess. The fact that the cops let him go means it's probably a justified shot, which means he wasn't the aggressor, which means he was defending himself. That's the only way they would let it go, right? So for all you other road rage people out there, when you get all mad because someone cut you off or they didn't use their blinker or they brake checked you or they're following you too close or whatever the trivial cause is, if you go accost them, if you go beat on their door, if you go knock on their window, if you run them off the road or tell them to pull over in a parking lot and we're going to settle this like men, they might have a gun and shoot you. This is Texas, bro. Why are you still road raging? I don't know. I just don't get it. I don't understand it. You're going to throw your whole life away? Is this what you're going to do? You don't know who you're about to fight. And you may be a bad dude. You may be the baddest dude in town where you're from. But this is a metropolitan area of 8 million people, and someone out there is badder than you. And even if they're not bigger, faster, stronger, even if you work out every day and you do steroids, drink a bunch of Red Bulls and punch drywall. It could be some little weenie out there with a gun. It could be a girl. It could be a lady with a gun. The ultimate equalizer. How do you still have this mentality in a society that's swimming with guns, in a society where this happens? Well, I have a couple theories on that. Number one is these stories don't get thrown up in the news with nearly as much attention as the ones that don't fit the narrative. They don't want to encourage people to have guns. They don't want to put stories in their head so the next time gun control legislation comes up, they're like, well, that's a stupid idea. What if some road rage guy attacks me and I won't be able to defend myself? So in the absence of reporting, because it doesn't fit the narrative, there's a lot of people out there who otherwise would get the message that don't get the message. But road rage is dumb. Road rage is so dumb. It's because your life really is on the line. Yeah, and your life is on the line with the people that are around you, and if they make a mistake, it could kill you. But you've already been through that, and you survived it. So now you're going to what? Take on another life-threatening, and of course, not all of them are life-threatening. Most situations aren't life-threatening, but you're adding another behavior that has like some tiny percentage of life-threatening. And I don't think the guy that got shot died. I think he was just bleeding all to hell in the Whataburger parking lot. And I mean, I hope he's okay. I hope nothing bad happens to him. But what I really hope is a lesson goes out there, because I'm teaching my kids. My kids don't see me get all mad, flip off other drivers. I don't think I've ever yelled at another driver. I may say funny things to them, like, hey, well, come on over. This is your lane, buddy. Or, hey, don't mind me. Or, hey, who uses a turn signal? I deal with a lot of my problems with sarcasm. I feel that's a lot more healthy than violence. Man, those crazy people are out there. All right, that's going to about do it for the James Show today. Listen, I'm going to be here for most of the week. I'm going to give you live shows Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And then Thursday, I'm doing a Thanksgiving Day Spectacular, which means it will be a new show. I'm just going to record it on Wednesday, and we'll put it in the system so I can actually hang out with my family and actually Miss Parker's family in New Orleans. And then on Friday, a colleague of mine who I've worked with in the Ghost of Radio Past, Eric Mark, will be filling in. So you're getting nothing but new shows every day this week. And this is a holiday week. I just want to put that in your head, because you're going to be flipping through today, tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and you're going to hear a bunch of reruns. You're going to hear a bunch of stuff that has nothing to do with today. We're not going to do you like that. We're hooking you up. So if you're going to be working, if you're going to be at the radio, we're going to give you a new show every day this week, and only one day with the fill-in. How rare is that? When was the last time you heard a fill-in on this show? You can't think of it, can you? All right, stick around. Mark Levin's coming up next. If you need more James Show. In the meantime, I'm about to get out of here and go put up the podcast. Find it at the WBAP app, WBAP.com, or wherever you're already listening to podcasts. Just give us a search, see if we show up there, because we probably will. And I know I try to train you to use our app and our platforms, but if you want to use other ones, that's better than not listening at all. It's not like Spotify needs any more money, though. All right, thank you very much for hanging out. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP.